Long time no see. Thanks for watching this edition of On the Sidelines. John Luck with Brad McKinnon. And you may notice we have a fly flying around here, so if you hear a random bang on the table, that's just Brad swinging and missing. You know who would get that fly, though? Because now he's $88 million richer. Or excuse me, $66 million richer. Jeremy Swayman.
Yes, sir, he will.
So after a summer-long holdout with Jeremy Swayman, both he and the Bruins agreed to an 8-year, $66 million extension. Overall thoughts on the deal, I think I've said in the past few weeks that this just comes down to experience. The guy hasn't won a Stanley Cup. The guy hasn't even been to a conference final as a goalie. He was part of a great tandem with Linus Ullmark. But 8 years, $66 million for a goalie that has struggled to get the team at least to the second round, that feels like a stretch.
I mean, I thought it was fair, to be honest with you, because we have the list of the goalies that are around there. Only Bobrovsky, I think, and Vasilevsky obviously have a cup. But Bobrovsky, he got it when he was older, you know. Locking him down at 8.25, I mean, in past episodes, I would say that's fair for both sides, in my opinion. Rumors of the cap keep going up like it did. Hopefully it does, but, I mean, we talked before the show. Igor on New York, he shut down the $88 million. That's $11 million a year. So we're kind of lucky he signed it then, because then if we waited a whole nother week, who knows what the goalie market would look like. I mean, even Linus Ullmark got a matching deal as Swayman. Now they're now contract brothers too, those two.
There you go.
It was 4 years, but still 8.25.
They can hug at center ice. Congratulations, you got your own $66 million deal.
I believe another goalie just signed for the same contract too. So Swayman kind of did reset the goalie market.
So Ilya Sorokin actually has the same contract as Swayman in terms of AAV, coming in at 8.25. You mentioned Bobrovsky, he's averaging $10 million a year. Andrei Vasilevsky, $9.5 million a year, and then Connor Hellebuck, $8.5 million. So obviously the price of a goaltender is going up, but the NHL has such a hard cap. You know, this isn't like the NHL, MLB, or NBA. You know, where you can look under the chair cushion and find an extra $250,000. The cap is the cap. And the thing that I'm afraid of, if I'm a Bruins fan, is the fact that you look forward to next year, the Bruins are going to have $16.4 million available in cap space as of this taping. And then the offseason after that, they'll have $27 million. So coming up this offseason, they'll have Brad Marchand and Trent Frederic, who are going to be unrestricted free agents. Morgan Geekie and John Beecher are restricted free agents. So the thing with Swayman's contract I'm afraid of in terms of the near future is their ability to go out there and trade for a player, take on some salary, which may help you get, you know, a good, you know, second or third line player when you get into that playoff push. But extending these guys, I mean, Martian will probably give you a discount, but
100% will. He's the cheapest left wing in the league.
Yeah,
and he's top 5. And even if you hate him, just like we don't like Matthew Tkachuk, you hate him if you don't have him. But if you have him, you love him. And I mean, he does take care of us he's a Tom Brady kind of guy, you know.
But a guy like a Frederic or a Geekie or even a Beecher, you know, they're going to want to go out there and they're going to want to get paid, because I think at least in 2 of those cases, I think this is probably one of their first free agent runs. Marchand, obviously the veteran of the team, the captain of the Bruins, but I think if this thing goes to arbitration, this could end up costing the Bruins more. They're going to eat into that $16.4 million, and ultimately the Bruins could be looking back at this and saying, well, if we stood pat at $60 or $64 million, we'd still have another $2 to $6 million to play with. So I think this is something that the Bruins are going to really look at here, especially over the next couple off seasons, and say, ooh, this may end up shooting us in the foot.
Yeah, so won't some of these high-paid, like Lindholm contracts. Not Elias Hampus, I love him, but he's a little overpaid. Even Elias was, but that's what you get. Free agent market, we talked about that. I do think Brad Marchand will probably be around 6, at most.
So then you're down to $10 million.
Out of those 3, Beecher will probably be brought to arbitration, yeah, probably 1.5 at most.
So now you're down to about 8.
Liner. And then you could probably find 3 for Geekie and 3.5 for Trent Frederic, depending on who does better this year, in my opinion.
So according to Spotrac, I think that's how you say that, the Bruins have a grand total in cap space available as of this recording of $145,260. So what you see on the ice is what you're going to get.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, trading, obviously, but there's no room for eating any contracts or anything, so.
Yeah, and that could be something to look at when you get into that trade deadline. I know in the NBA, especially with the Celtics case now, if you have to match dollar for dollar, that gets really foggy in terms of maybe potential 2-for-1 deal or throwing draft picks in there. But I know with a lot of extensions and trades, the first thing to come up in conversation is who won, who lost. So between the Bruins and Swayman, who won, who lost?
Bruins fans won. That's the best way I can put it. Because like I said, the 8-2-5 is the happy medium I felt, in my opinion, for both people to win. So I really do think the Bruins fans won the most out of that. So I can't say Swayman won because we don't know his full potential yet. We haven't seen him do a 55-plus game season. You only saw him, 2 rounds last year, and of course Florida took us out again. So I don't know. I have high faith in Swayman. I do. I mean, he hasn't been horrible this year. Yeah, he had that one game versus Florida when he let up more than a couple, but every game he's letting up a couple. You know, we're losing 2-1 if we lose with him like we just did the other night. I mean, I think he's going to solidify himself soon as a top defender, and especially if the 6 defenders in front of him, once we stop rotating them all around, once we figure that out, I do think we have a very good defensive zone team that can reinforce Swayman and give him more confidence and more morale and all that. So,
see, ultimately, I think Jeremy Swayman comes out maybe as a bad guy in this. I gave the reasons in terms of what this could do in terms of handcuffing the Bruins money-wise, but ultimately, you know, like I said, it just comes down to the experience for me. Like, if this was a guy that was in the Vezina conversation year in, year out, if this was a guy that brought the team to the Stanley Cup, if this was a guy that played 75 games, I'd say, you know what, $8 million a year is pretty worth it. But right now, you're just playing off of potential. So in my eyes, I think Jeremy Swayman potentially could have fleeced the Boston Bruins.
We'll see.
I mean, the Bruins had no choice. It was what? Korpisalo or
Bussy.
Brandon Bussy.
Yeah. Which I think Bussy might be better than Korpisalo.
Right, but, you know, are you going to go into the season with that, or are you going to, you know, go in with Jeremy Swayman?
No, luckily, I know he didn't start game 1, but luckily we did sign him before the season. And one thing I will say...
The day before the season, basically.
One thing I will say against your argument, though, about the experience and all that, we've had 6 games, he's played 4. You know, he is showing that he wants to hit over 55, 60 games, you know. So we'll see where it takes us. I mean, I do have high hopes for this team. There's a lot of new pieces on the offense, defense, and even in the goal, since Korpisalo's there too, that they just need to all get in tune and chemistry with each other. And I mean, our power play could be one of the best if they can figure it out, how much they've actually been moving around and stuff. They just need to finish, you know, so we'll see what happens there.
So quickly here, as of this recording, the Boston Bruins are through 6 games with a record of 3-2-1, including a collapse against Utah. Pastrnak leads the team with 4 goals, and rookie Cole Kropke
and Kasalik and
is second
Beecher.
is second with 3 goals.
That fourth line, man, if you watch them, this is the net right here. This is all they're doing. They're just doing circles around the net. Korpisalo has 3 goals, 3 assists. The other 2 have 2 and 3 each. They're our best line right now, and it's awesome to see because when we have a good fourth line like we did with Nola, Chari, Corrali, and Wagner in 19, you go farther in the playoffs.
So what are they doing on the ice in front of the net?
Just not playing like Wayne Gretzky in front of the ice is the best way to do it. Passing from behind, they're all...
Fourth line's like Wayne Gretzky.
The fourth line, no, the fourth line's awesome right now. They are. They make me happy when I see them hit the ice. And it's been a while since I said, oh, the fourth line's out there. It's exciting hockey.
All right, so let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, congratulations, Patriots. You don't just suck here in America. You brought it overseas and brought the suckery to England. We have more after this.
76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
Well, the Patriots are saying May Day. Not really sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Drake May is the new starting quarterback for the Patriots, and, well, as of this recording, he's now 0-2.
Yep.
The Patriots lost to the Houston Texans last week. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in London this week. The Patriots did jump out to a 10-0 lead, but after that, I mean, the Jaguars going off for, 22, 25 unanswered points. And
the punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, the 96-yard punt return, which I believe was the longest kick return for a touchdown in Jaguars history. Drake May clearly isn't the problem on this team. This team has a lot of problems, but Drake May, it looks like, through all the fire of the Patriots 2024 season, looks like Drake May is maybe the one good thing about this campaign.
100%. I mean, game one, you're playing Houston. And I don't know if they still were, but around that time, they were the best pass rushing defense. And that's where you throw your first pick rookie in. That's the first game you throw him in versus Wolves.
So I kind of understand
which was
that
good.
one, though.
No, that's what I was going to say. It was good because he didn't get sacked as much. He got sacked a few times like he has in every game, but he does have the awareness of his line collapsing. I mean, unless it's a blind side, which happened yesterday, he got whacked from behind. He still kind of felt it. He's pretty good. He has really good pocket awareness. And, I mean, how great is it now that the New England Patriots can throw a ball over 15 yards? You know, that touchdown to, was it Polk or Boutte, the 40-yarder? That was his first. I think it was Boutte, and then Douglas. He's looked good. He's had some good passes. Hunter Henry's had a couple passes, 35-yard catch and all that. It's been a while. I think it's been 3 years since the Patriots have had over a 30-yard completion, which is pretty pathetic. I got two stats I'm going to pull up right here, which were interesting. We talked about before the show. I can't tell you if the second one's true. I looked this one up. This one seems to be true. Only two QBs.
Can't tell if it's true.
The first one, this one I looked into. Only two QBs since the merger have 500-plus pass yards and 5+ touchdowns through 2 career starts. Drake May, Dan Marino. That's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. We're Patriots fans, so might not
Marino win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's the only one the Dolphins won, I'm pretty sure. They went undefeated when it was 14
72.
games.
That was a little before Marino, I think.
No, I think Marino was a quarterback when they won.
I can't wait till this goes on the YouTube
Hold
Shorts
Dan
and we get so many comments
Super
back.
Super Bowl wins. Let's see. Oh, wow. Marino is the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. All right, Drake May will be the best quarterback to win a Super Bowl. See, I can be wrong sometimes. And then, where is it? Drake May has played 8 quarters of football with one of the worst offensive lines and has one less touchdown pass than Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Daniel Jones, and Geno Smith. That's kind of impressive. It's not one you bring to the bank and say, hey, look at this, I want to put it all on black, but that's a good stat for only 2 starts. I mean, if Polk could catch a ball for someone that has the best hands in the league, as he said, that'd be nice, because I had high hopes for him when we talked about the draft, him and Baker, those wide receivers. I believe it's Baker. You haven't seen him at all, but.
So in the case of Polk, I think, you know, through the preseason at least, all the secondary players are playing Polk along the sidelines. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, really, that just doesn't seem like his wheelhouse. His wheelhouse seems to be maybe those slant passes. Maybe you can get him on the drive. But, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. You mentioned the offensive line, and this offensive line is in shambles.
Yeah,
I don't think we can argue about that.
7th different lineup for the week,
But,
or 6, whatever week it was. That's how many different lineups we've had as our starting line.
Yeah. Drake made 276 passing yards. But you look at the rushing yards, Drake made a team high, tied for a team high, 18 yards with Ramondre Stevenson. Hunter Henry, 8 receptions, 92 yards to Michael Hasty, 5 receptions, 49 yards, and a great touchdown reception.
That was awesome for him.
So there's a lot that hinges on the offensive line. And, you know, this is going to be a rough go of it the next, 10, 11 weeks of the regular season here for the Patriots, because to me, we're teetering on this thing being an absolute horror show for Gerard Mayo and the Patriots. We'll talk about Belichick's little quote grenade there on the Pat McAfee show in a little bit, but really, I think Gerard Mayo is risking losing this team, and we're only 7 weeks into his tenure as Patriots head coach.
With his comments, he said that we'll talk about. I 100% back that statement. You don't say that as a coach when you're just getting in there. You don't even know half the guys. I mean, you obviously have a problem even holding them down, personality-wise, attitude-wise. Look at the Patriots. You see them in the news all the time now. You know? So
obviously, Christian Barmore, the incident in Providence, which he has apologized for. But you go even further, Jay Polk with the Instagram post with the peace out signal. KJ Osborne, who did have a touchdown reception in this game, basically screen grabbing a quote he had with his agent. I mean, Gerard Mayo is losing this team. Let's look back to this big quote that came out after the game where he called the team soft. This was Gerard Mayo post-game. What I would say is, look, we're a soft football team across the board. You talk about what makes a tough football team. That is being able to run the ball. That is being able to stop the run, being able to cover kicks. We did none of those today. They controlled the ball for most of the day. Their run game averaged over 4.5 yards a carry. Our run game, not sure what the average was, but it wasn't good. It wasn't. Look, back to the drawing board. I mean, we can't sit here and pout. We just got to put a game together. Okay. With all due respect to Gerard Mayo, jackass, you were the defensive coordinator essentially last year. This was your defense last year, and you come back this year and say, well, our defense isn't putting it together. You're the head coach. You're supposed to have your eyes over everything. And to go ahead and basically try and be camp counselor and say, okay, defense, this is your coach. Offense, this is your coach. The guy has a game plan manager basically telling him, when to go for it, when not to go for it. Gerard Mayo right now is just kind of spinning in the mud, and that's not good for this team, especially when you're in a rebuild mode and with an owner in Bob Kraft who wants to get into the Hall of Fame. But if this thing continues to go the way we're going after 7 weeks, there's no way Bob Kraft is going to get into the Hall of Fame.
He'll be the next Jerry Jones,
I mean, there's a better shot of, Stephen Ross going into the Hall of Fame. There's a better shot of any owner in the NFL going into the Hall of Fame. Because right now, what this whole collapse is showing us is maybe when we look back, this Patriots dynasty, maybe it doesn't come down to Bill, Tom, or Bob. Maybe this dynasty is just Tom. Maybe Belichick and Kraft were just riding those proverbial coattails of Tom Brady. And that's okay. Unfortunately, Bob Kraft hasn't had to really go into, the championship swoon where you have championship here, tough season here, back up to championship contention. It's just been a slow decline, and the decline just continues to have no end.
Well, it is sad, and you definitely can put some blame on Kraft for how it all ended. I mean, you can put blame on all three of those names you just said there on why everything happened, the dynasty died, but just it's sad to see because, I wasn't really paying attention to football when we were pretty bad before the Brady days. So now I'm getting used to what my father always told me about, But I don't know. Who would you rather have fired if you could out of three, but it's not the names we just said? Adam Van Pleet, our defensive coordinator, or AVP is our offensive coordinator, our defense coordinator, or our offensive line coach? Out of the three.
That is very tough. So Alex Van Pelt, I think there's something there, but I don't think he wanted to take part basically in a reclamation project in Drake May. DeMarcus Covington, I think if he has the right guys and they actually drafted okay, I think something could be done there. So I think you have to look at whoever is coordinating the offensive line, but also what do you have for offensive line personnel? Coming into the season, it was David Andrews and 6 other guys. That's not going to get it done.
No.
I understand the Patriots are in a rebuild mode. Kraft won't say it, but the Patriots are in a rebuild mode. But to go ahead and allow Tank Bigsby to get 26 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I think he had 2 10-yard runs on first downs where it was 1st and 10 at midfield. Bigsby straight through the middle of the
They
defensive
ran
line.
all over us.
Another first down, straight through the middle of the defensive line. Like, that's a big issue. Gerard Mayo is the defensive guy. He's a head coach, but he is a defensive guy. Let's get quickly to the big quote from Bill Belichick on the Pat McAfee show. McAfee asked Belichick his thoughts on Gerard Mayo calling his team soft, and Bill said, quote, "I think Drake May's done some good things. In the end, we'll see how it goes when situations get a little more competitive and all that. You know, defensively, the Patriots led the league last year in rushing defense, yards per carry, number 1 in the league. This year, they're way down in the 20s somewhere. It's a lot of the same guys. They re-signed Jennings. They re-signed Tavai. They re-signed, obviously, Duggar. Marcus Jones and Gonzalez have been healthy all year, which they were both on IR at this point last year. So you got Wise, you got Godshaw, you got Keon White, you've got Mapu, you got Gonzalez. You had 3 rookies from last year, so it's a lot of the same players, and in some cases, I would say more. I'm kind of hurt for those guys because to call them soft, they're not soft, but they were the best team in the league against the run, and those guys went out there and did it even though we couldn't score many points offensively. I feel bad for the defensive players on that one." I mean, you want to talk about that, verbal grenade going into the room? Right there. Can you imagine what that Patriots locker room is going to be like after the Jets game this Sunday? Can you imagine what this season could turn into? Because I had legitimate concerns after week 8 or 9 about the team just tuning Gerard Mayo out. But after his comments and then after Belichick's comments, get your popcorn. Yeah. This is going to get good.
Oh, 100%. Buckle up. It's crazy. He's going to lose that locker room if he hasn't already, is the best way to put it. I bet he has already lost it, especially after that.
All right, we'll take one more quick break before we go into overtime. And Major League Baseball has its 2 competitors for the World Series and big shot. The biggest spenders get into the Fall Classic. We'll talk about the MLB postseason coming up after the break.
Hear that, John Henry? They spend money.
76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
So lo and behold, the Boston Red Sox not anywhere in the MLB postseason talk, but we do have the Dodgers and the Yankees playing for the World Series. And I mean, a lot of people aren't too shocked by this, knowing how much money went into this. But is it good for baseball having 2 MLB blue bloods playing in the Fall Classic here with the Dodgers and the Yankees, knowing the ridiculous amount of money that both teams have on their payroll?
I mean, they have some of the biggest fan bases, I will say that. You obviously don't like to see 2 big spenders in there. You're usually going to see 1, but I don't know. The Yankees hopefully are going to lose to the Dodgers because we're Red Sox fans.
I don't want that.
I know there's a few Dodgers out there that used to be us and all that. I mean, there are. That's the only reason why I'm saying Dodgers over Yankees. But it would be good to see a few games like Game 6 of the Yankees versus Guardians series. The end of that game. I didn't watch many games this postseason. I'll be honest. I say it all the time. Baseball, not the biggest fan. I'll watch in October. But that game was pretty crazy at the end.
I think
was that Game 5?
Game 5, because it was 4-1.
Yep.
The best game for me was the Cleveland win. You had the home run by Father Christmas that tied the game, and then you had the walk-off, which was ridiculous. I actually want to see the Yankees win the World Series. And it's for this reason. Because if the Yankees win the World Series, it's going to be put up or shut up time for John Henry.
You got a good point there.
You remember back in, 2002, 2003, when he initially bought the team, what was his basically mission statement?
Beat the Yankees.
Exactly. So if the Yankees win this season, I mean, this could be the start of something dynastic.
Puts a little gas in his fire, you know?
I mean, Aaron Judge is obviously signed long-term. The pitching staff is still a little weird, but to me, this lineup, if they can go out there and re-sign Juan Soto, the New York Yankees could have themselves a very talented run that rivals the early 2000s, I think. And if that's the case, then John Henry's going to have to show that maybe he is still the same owner, or maybe his values have changed and he cares more about that bottom dollar. But to me, I think the only way you get his attention is that the New York Yankees go out there and defeat the LA Dodgers.
You just made a really good point there for sure, because since he's bought it, the Red Sox have won the chip more, I believe. I think they've only won it twice, the Yankees, since, and we've won it 4 times, right? They won in 09, and then did they in 03? Did they win it in 03?
The Yankees? No, that was the Marlins.
All right.
That one.
So I think only one then, one time since. So it'd be definitely good if we win. Like I said, maybe he might open his checkbook if that happens. You know, it's always going to be the biggest rivalry in baseball, even though it's nothing like it was when we were growing up. You know, you don't have people clearing benches and all that stuff, or even good games half the time, but.
No, and I mean, you want to talk about former Red Sox in the World Series, you got Alex Verdugo from the Yankees. I mean, you can root for Verdugo.
Listen, you root for people that go to the Yankees, though, do you?
Yeah, if it gets John Henry to actually
Johnny Damon,
invest.
I wouldn't root for him.
I didn't really care about that.
He did his part here.
Yeah. So World Series pick, who do you have winning and in how many games? It's a 7-game series.
I know.
Yep.
I know. Dodgers in 6.
All right. So I
think Onato, however you say his name, will.
So Shohei Ohtani's going to make a difference
Ohtani,
for sure.
That's how you say his last name. I think he might have a very big MVP performance during that.
I think it's going to be interesting watching Ohtani play with that short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium, especially when you start getting those autumn, gusts going through Yankee Stadium. That ball is going to carry, I think, especially to right field. So he could make a big difference, but I think the Dodgers are going to win. I want the Yankees to win, but I think the Dodgers are going to win probably in 5 games, I think. When you look at just the overall pitching staff for the LA Dodgers, and you go into the hitting as well, Mookie Betts, his speed, Freddie Freeman, still there are some injuries hindering the Dodgers, but to me, I think that this team is just such a juggernaut that it's hard to go against the Dodgers in terms of picking. Again, I want the Yankees to win, but I think the Dodgers will win, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does completely.
So
you have a great reason, too, as a Red Sox fan, to want the Yankees to win. I just want to let you know that.
Overall thoughts on the MLB postseason, because it's kind of that quiet postseason, but this year it seems like a lot of talk has been around the baseball playoffs. You had the Mets, giving everyone heart attacks basically from the wild card series, with Pete Alonso hitting that home run in Game 3 against the Brewers, the big win against the Phillies in the division series. There were a lot of upsets in this postseason. You look at the Astros collapse in the wild card against the Tigers. This was an important.
I lost money on that series. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, well, money aside, this was an important postseason, I think, for Major League Baseball in terms of attracting new viewers, because you did attract new markets. You had Milwaukee thinking they were going to, win. Obviously, they get their hearts pulled out of them. You have Detroit coming out of nowhere and making that ridiculous second-half push. Cleveland. To me, I think this postseason chase and the playoffs have been crucial for Major League Baseball, plus San Diego as well. This wild card 3-game series that a lot of people were bullish on at the start, I think this is something that is great for baseball. It really puts managers' feet to the fire, if you will, which I think is great for the game, because you don't have teams just sleepwalking into the postseason anymore.
No, I do like the 3-game series. It's like in basketball. You have the play-in tournament, too, now for the last 2 spots. Is it called the play-in tournament in basketball? I don't even remember what it is, but I do like what's it, a 3 then a 5, right?
So for baseball, it's a 3-game wild card series, 5 ALDS, and then 7 the rest.
For the last 2.
Yep. I think this is going to be a very fun World Series coming up, but again,
it should be. With those fan bases, it should be. Those are great fan bases. I'm a Boston guy, diehard, but I will say New York and LA have some great fans. They do.
The one takeaway from this postseason is money talks.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
You want to talk about money coming up in overtime. We're going to talk about a team that knows a thing or two about spending money. That is the Boston Celtics, as they get prepared to defend Banner 18 with the season coming up. We're going to preview the Celtics 2024-25 campaign.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Greg, come on man, let's put a ride home.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Overtime is upon us. We still haven't gotten that fly that's been flying all around. I think there's two now.
There might be.
It might have multiplied.
We had a nice little event out there yesterday, trunk or treat, and the door might have been open a little too long, all right?
It was a great event, put on by Fire for Effect, and I think we had easily 1,000 people here.
Oh, without a doubt. The line went all the way down the street when it started.
And Inspector Gadget was there. What more do you need?
Go, statistic man.
Go, Gadget Championship. The Boston Celtics, by the time you're watching this, have kicked off the 24-25 season. We obviously don't know how the first few games are going to go, but how do you see the Celtics going from the proverbial hunter now to the proverbial hunted as NBA champions?
They're just going to do what they did and defend Causeway again. You know, they did well on the road. We finally won at home, and I mean, not much has changed to the team. If anything,
nothing has changed.
No, I was about to say, I don't even think anything's changed to the team. So if they can just not bring that championship hangover throughout the whole year, I do think they have a very good chance of at least making it back to the Eastern Conference Finals. We all know that's going to happen. That happens no matter what. But
yeah, ultimately, I think the first couple months of the season, Joe Mazzulla is going to play a huge part in getting this team's mindset right. There were talks of Mazzulla, the day after the championship, going through and making up different situations, going to Vegas and bringing the situations to Holiday and Tatum to the point where Tatum had to say, easy, take it easy, have a little off season here. If Mazzulla can keep the players' minds on the ball here the first 2.5 months of the season, I think the Celtics are in great shape. The one thing the Celtics have to be careful of, and this is the same thing for any defending NBA champions, even the Golden State Warriors during that dynasty, is you're going to get everyone's best shot. And you have some interesting games coming up in the first couple months of the season. You have the conference finals rematch against Indiana the second week of the season. That follows a matchup against the Bucks. Then you have Golden State coming in here. You have a couple games against Brooklyn, Toronto, Cleveland. A great game against Minnesota coming up November 24th. You're going to get everybody's best shot. And you can look at a game like a Washington or a Detroit and say, well, we're going to blow them out by 50. But you had difficulties in a championship season against the Detroit Pistons. Kate Cunningham's coming back. I think Ivy's coming back for the Pistons as well. They're going to be a sneaky team to watch, those Detroit Pistons. And the Charlotte Hornets, I think, are a team that continue to make those, small footstep climbs. But I think the Hornets could be an interesting watch this season as well. But overall, I think the Celtics just need to get through the doldrums of the season and get to January and be in the top 3 conversation.
no, they will be in the top 3 without a question around that time, unless serious injury happens. But I don't think that Boston will be plagued with that.
Do you see Tatum or Brown using the Olympics fiasco? Brown not going to the Olympics, Tatum sitting for a couple games. Does that get used as motivation at all coming into this season?
For Tatum, if anything, I would think for Brown, we all know what we think it was. You know, it wasn't just about his performance or anything. I do think it would be Tatum, who, if anyone, would use that for a little fuel, especially when Steve Kerr comes into the Garden.
I can't wait for that coming up.
He'll put up 50-plus that game. He'll beg the team to allow him to put up 50-plus.
It's going to be another 63-point masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
I think for Jaylen Brown, I think this is a bigger season for him in terms of using the Olympics motivation. He didn't get to go to Paris. He knows why. It's because of his issues with Nike and everything there. He's going to come out, I think, in these first 4 or 5 weeks and show, forget you, NBA. I'm going to go out here and show why I belong on Team USA. I'm going to show why I belong on the first team All-NBA. I think he got shut out of the defensive, the All-NBA defense. So he's been shut out of a lot of things. And I think this season he's put on a lot more muscle. He's going to be a lot stronger going to the basket. I think that they could fluctuate early in the season without Kristaps Porzingis because he's out till Christmas probably. I think they experiment maybe using Tatum or Brown at a 5. Maybe not against a Golden State or a Minnesota, but maybe against a Charlotte or a Washington or a Detroit where you can maybe test things out. And if Brown or Tatum can play a 4 or 5, I mean, just get the stitches going for a banner 19.
19, yeah.
Biggest threat to the Celtics from the East and the West this season. I'm going to start this one because I think from the East there's a lot of interesting choices. In Philadelphia, you obviously had Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George, who just came over from Los Angeles, but George is already battling some injury issues. I don't think they have the depth to compete with the Boston Celtics. I think it is going to be the New York Knicks that provide the Celtics the biggest challenge. Carl Anthony Towns got traded from Minnesota to the Garden just before the preseason. But the big news for the Knicks is the fact that Mitchell Robinson is going to be out through the rest of the calendar year. So there's going to be some moving around, I think, when you get to January. But, I mean, you have Brunson leading the charge.
All the college boys,
Right.
playing together.
What was it? Nova North, I think it was. Plus, I think Bridges got traded to the Knicks as well. So I think from the East, going around quickly,
I'm with the Knicks.
I'm going to go with the Knicks as the biggest threat.
Like you just said, Philly could be up there, but Philly's like the Boston Bruins. They beat themselves in the playoffs every year. They don't show up. Ben Simmons has 1-point games when he was. I know that was before. It's a past, but you get what I'm saying. Philly's definitely a team that can shoot themselves in the feet. In the West, this is with all these teams being 100% healthy, too. I know one dude's out for the year, blah, blah, blah. But for the West, I would probably say the Grizzlies or the Nuggets would have to be me. Probably the Grizzlies over the Nuggets, in my honest opinion, yes.
That's almost viral video material there.
No, I know Dallas is out there. I know all these other teams, but I think the Grizzlies are definitely going to step up big this year. They're kind of my second favorite basketball team, so.
I like the Thunder.
Yeah.
The Thunder were a great team to watch last year. It's going to be interesting to see if SGA comes back with the same momentum that he carried all the way through last season, knowing that he lost in the playoffs. Now he has to come back, recalibrate, and do it all over again. So the Thunder is one team to watch. Obviously, the Nuggets, I think, are the odds-on favorite with Jokic and Murray and Porter. So I'm going to go with the Nuggets, I think, as the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics from the West.
They're definitely up there for me, too. I'm just being biased with my answer. And I know, what was Memphis, like 6th last year in the West?
I don't even think
in
they
the playoffs?
qualified.
They made it to the playoffs,
No,
I
they
thought.
didn't.
The Grizzlies? No?
I mean,
I'm thinking of the Timberwolves. Jesus.
You said Dan Marino won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You're confusing
Listen,
Memphis with
it's
Minnesota.
Hot. Shh, relax, all right?
How much candy did you have at the trunk or treat?
Listen, I couldn't get them open. I don't know what to tell you.
I've been everywhere. Minnesota, Memphis.
Yeah, no, I screwed up right there, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Well,
I'm
now we
actually
can
going to see the Grizzlies versus Celtics, so December 7th. Got tickets for up top, bringing my nephew.
You sure about that?
Huh?
You sure? You're seeing the Grizzlies and the Celtics. You're not going to see the Timberwolves and the Celtics.
Jesus, I just did it again.
Okay, while you continue trying to figure out where the Grizzlies play, let's end with this. The Boston Celtics will finish blank.
In the East or
Just
in
overall,
total?
how will the Celtics season end? Will the Celtics be champions, conference champions, choke job?
They'll be back. They're at least going to be Eastern Conference champions. It just depends on if they see the Timberwolves or the Grizzlies.
That might be moment of the year for us, I think.
Hey, I have these moments sometimes. I get brain farts, all right? I'm human, John.
It's
I'm
all
human.
good. I mean, go gadget stats. That's my thing. Go gadget MapQuest is your thing. To me, I think the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to repeat as champions, and there's a lot of pressure on this team based on the salary cap issues. But overall, everyone's coming back. If you look at the preseason, this team is a well-oiled machine. I mean, they almost blew Philadelphia out by 70 in the preseason. Granted, there was no Embiid, Maxey, or anyone. But just watching how this team moved the ball up and down the court, it didn't matter if it was the top six. It didn't matter if it was Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser leading the charge. To me, I think Jordan Walsh is a player that could be important for the Celtics in terms of long-term stability. Going into a couple of years from now, you're not going to have the likes of an Al Horford under contract. Jaden Springer's not going to be here. So Jordan Walsh has to take that climb, I think, in terms of rotation players. And if he's coming in here and playing and getting paid $1.8 million a year, if you can go ahead and get between 10 and 15 points a game out of Jordan Walsh, and he's great on defense, I think this team's set for long-term stability. But in terms of predictions, I'm going to go with NBA champions for a 19th time.
All right. So you want the big boys to win. You want the Yankees to win. You want the Celtics to win. You just like the teams that win, huh?
Celtics are my team, though.
You probably want Montreal Canadiens to win the Cup, too, don't you?
You know my stance on Bruins fans. So let's get to NFL picks now for week number 8.
Let's get to the picks, yeah. Let's forget about what you just said.
Ole. Arizona, Miami, and Miami comes in as 3.5-point favorites. There is talk that Tua Tagovailoa is coming back for this one after, just a sickening image of him getting taken off the field with that concussion in week 2.
If Tua's in, that's Miami. If not, it's Arizona. That's how I see it. So I don't want to see Tua play anymore, and it's not because he's Miami, but
yeah, I have my own take on Tua. I think he should have to wear that guardian cap that we've seen a lot of players, or a few players wear, but I think that should be a prerequisite for him to come back. If you want to play again with your concussion issues, you have to wear that guardian cap. But getting back to the spreads, I'm going to go ahead and take Miami in this one. Arizona just has been a little clunky. I don't know what it is. Plus, Marvin Harrison Jr. has had his issues as well in terms of injury. Next up, we have Atlanta and Tampa Bay. The Bucs coming in as 2.5-point favorites. I got the Falcons defense on my fantasy football team, which has been great. I'm going to take the Bucs in this one, though. There's just something about Baker Mayfield leading the charge. Yeah. It's that Baker magic coming into play here, and I think the Bucs win.
He's showing that he should have been a first-round draft pick. An early first-round draft pick, Baker, with how he's been playing recently. So I'm going to take him, too. You got him some good weapons now. He's showing he can play.
Buffalo and Seattle, pretty interesting here. The games in Seattle, the Seahawks are 3-point underdogs at home. How do you see this one going?
Buffalo. I do. Buffalo's starting to figure things out a little bit, and they just got Amari Cooper, too. So that's going to help out a lot. So you're going to have a number one wide receiver again, instead of questionable number one wide receivers.
I got 4 words for you. Let's go Buffalo. Shout. Chicago, Washington. When this game was originally announced, we thought it was going to be a great game, potentially between the top pick and Jaden Daniels. But now Daniels with the potential rib issue, we don't know what his status is. But as of this recording, it is a pick-em. Chicago gets a 1-point favorite, but it's pick-em.
If Daniels isn't in, that's Chicago all day. He looks good. He does.
The connection with Terry McLaurin, ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, he looks good. But definitely Chicago if he's not in.
And finally, we have the Jets taking on the international nightmare known as the New England Patriots. Patriots are hosting, but they come in as 7-point underdogs because, they're an international tragedy. I'm going to take the Jets to win this by given how Sunday Night Football went against the Steelers, I'm going to go 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. They could barely score 3 touchdowns to the Jets.
Yeah, against the Patriots, though, they allowed Tank Bigsby to look like LaDainian Tomlinson out on the field.
They do have a good running back. You got a point. Obviously, it's going to be the Jets. I mean, I feel bad for Devontae Adams going over there and having to play defender on a few of those plays, but that's what happens with Aaron Rodgers. I feel bad for him because he's going downhill. He is. I thought he was going to be a lot better than. I didn't think they'd be 2-5 or whatever they are right now. I believe it's 2-5, and definitely don't think this is going to be Drake May's first win. I don't, because if you remember the Jets when they played with Brissett and Drake May even got that one drive in that game. All they did was stack the box, and we couldn't do a gut. There were people walking in every gap, walking just right in. Oh, we're fine. A gap's open. This gap's open. Boom, boom, boom. The box will be stacked, and we'll pray for Drake May if you're a Patriots fan. That's all I'm going to say. He has awareness in the pocket, but still pray for that man.
All I'm going to say is 4 touchdown win. Thanks for watching this episode of the program. We'll see you next time. For Brad McKinnon, I'm John Luck. See you later.